Also seid ihr hier praktisch der letzte Punkt vom Ziel.
Focus head very good.
Again, leaving nothing on the table. to 15. Oh, and very late.
Welcome back to Altenberg in Saxony. We're at the German track for the 7th and final race of the IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. And on this Friday morning, we have a finely balanced race for the medals. Hello everybody, Martin Haven and Nathan Crumpton here trackside in Altenberg, one of the toughest tracks in the business. And Nathan, it showed because we've got a yawning chasm between our top four and everybody else.
We do indeed. It's about 0.4 of a second there between Tabby Sturker, currently sitting in that 5th spot. And then we have in 3rd, Kimberly Boss from the Netherlands. She is fighting and currently in a bronze medal position, 0.06 of a second back from the leader. Good start, good finish for Kimberly representing the Dutch team, but she has got a battle in front of her, and that's because of that chest-thumping woman right there. Kim Meilemans from Belgium, the Belgian Bullet, with a great start, 4th fastest start for Kim, and then 2nd down at the bottom of the track. Clean run, fast lines, and that is why she is your World Cup overall leader so far. But to get the gold, you have to beat this woman, Jacqueline Pfeiffer, one of the hometown girls. She only had the 20th fastest start at the beginning, but she came down with the fastest time, fastest speeds, old school German speed merchant. She is the woman to beat in the 2nd heat here, Martin.
8 years since she's won on this track. 2 golds in 2017, 2018, and then a couple of silvers and a bronze since then. But Jacka is in the slenderest of leads, and that top 4 is where your medals will come from. The local queen, Susie Crayer, in 4th place, just 700ths back. So it's effectively a dead heat for that position. It's a literal dead heat further back. 1.3 seconds back, Mystique Rowe and Julia Erlacher. Rowe, the fastest starter. And where you start is often where you finish, but on this track, it really isn't. What you do in corners 4 and 5 has a much more detrimental effect than what you do or don't do at the start. There is Pfeiffer, and there's Susie Crayer, the local queen. Hannah Neisser, the Olympic champion, in the field as well. And last year's winner, Kim Meilman's, just 300ths off the gold. Kimberly Boss, she's been a medalist here as well. 1 medal, bronze, 3 years ago. But looking in fine form as well with her coach, Kristen Bromley here. And Anna Fernstedt, former German slider. Her only podium here, a bronze medal, came when she was still in the yellow, red and black of Germany before she started sliding for Czech Republic. So you can see there, Jacka's friends and family are here, the Jacka fan club. And lots of fans coming over the Czech border, which is a little under 10 miles away from here. So from our initial field of 27 sliders, 25 go through into the second heat, first of whom will be Belgium's Alain Pelkmans. And we go from last to fast down through the order. And so our first heat leader defends that lead as the last sled out of the dressing room. Jacka Pfeiffer with the slenderest of margins, just 300ths of a second. 7th and final World Cup race of the women's skeleton season in Altenberg in Germany. Getting heat 2 underway, Alain Pelkmans, Martin Haven and Nathan Crumpton. Watch the action trackside with you.
Yes, and Aline here, she just snuck into the final. She had the 26th fastest start time in the first heat and just snuck in at 25th. And here she goes, setting the pace. Little big skid there and a little hit, going from 2 into 3. That's going to hurt her. There's the Omega, another skid on the exit, but she saves herself from a scorpion, and she is on a slick, freshly spritzed track here, and it just showed at the top of the track.
Yeah, you can really see the high gloss shine, can't you? Mind you, it didn't lose much of that. Great exit from 9 down to 10.
Yep, fighting for that early entry into Kreisel. Big waves there in Kreisel, using her toe liberally. Gets a clean exit now into the lower labyrinth here, over the brow on the straightaway and into the tricky curve 14.
And over the brow again. Got to keep it straight, otherwise you have big skids.
114 going late there and really big height into 15 and 16. Whoa, saves it on the exit, 59.61, so considerable improvement for her. And she sets the pace as we get underway here in the deciding heat.
Yeah, 9200ths of a second. She came down in a 60.5. She's made a 59.61, so that's a big improvement. There's Coach Kristen Bromley going to help.
And here we go. So this is right at the top of the track there, breaking into a massive skid and takes that hit there before corner 3. And then now the exit of 4, another skid. She knows she does not want to flip the sled there on the entry to 5. Breaks it into a skid, keeps the runners down at least, but does lose some precious time.
So slightly wild ride at the top, and that's going to be perhaps a signature for a few of our first sliders. Next up from Puerto Rico. Yes, Puerto Rico really do have a skeleton sliding athlete. Kelly Delka started, like Nathan, on the same day, in fact, as Nathan, in the US program, and has been sliding for the last half dozen years and plus for Puerto Rico. So 584 start, 23rd at the top, 24th at the bottom. Flew in from Lake Placid on Tuesday, has had 3 training runs, so this is literally her 5th run down the track this year.
It is, so she has been doing the tour hopping. 584 to get Kelly underway here. Yes, she was in North America, earning those critical Olympic qualifying points there. Oh, brushes that slider's right side before corner 3 into corner 4. Navigates it on her Schneider-made sled, gets out cleanly. But yes, as you had mentioned, Martin, she and I both started in the U.S. program, but we found greener pastures and small, warm tropical islands.
Whiter pastures with bluer seas. Kelly with the advantage now, building over Alain Pelkmans up to 6,500ths. This is a 29th World Cup race, only her second of this season. She did do the race in Cortina.
holding on to just over half a second advantage. A little bit of a skid there. Again, with a freshly spritzed track, it's a little bit different. You have a little less control. Still over 4/10 in the bank. She should come away with a healthy lead here.
This is a bit of a quarterback scramble as the speed is probably higher than she dealt with in the first heat. 59.69 she comes down compared to 60.2. So again, 7/10 of a second quicker.
And we see that tape on the front of her helmet flapping around, so her head was dragging on the ice. All those G-forces, you can get over 5 Gs of force here, even occasionally over 6 going into Kreisel on that first pressure, and she hit her helmet somewhere. There she loads onto her sled, that long, flat start ramp, exits the groove, and then spots her entry into the line of 1. Has to use that right toe, didn't get a clean kick out from the groove. And there, the exit, just taking a hit on the sliders right out of 9, using the right toe, and then a little bit of a skid going down into 10, the Kreisel.
Fabulous look to the helmet, to the belly of the sled as well. Brand new tray on that, and always hard to spot in that understated race suit. Next up, Kendall Wesenberg. Very close indeed to Kelly Delka at the start. 5.87 compared to Kelly's 5.84, but with just about 3/10 of a second in hand, a little under. Let's see if she can produce a final flying run here in Altenberg.
Yeah, also getting kicked out a little bit sideways. 5.80 at the start here for Kendall. Kendall, another one of those athletes that I spent a lot of time with on tour. We both called Park City our home track, both learned under the great Lincoln DeWitt. Here she goes, entering into the Omega corner, a little high on the end, but saves it really well. Nicely done, Kendall.
Yeah, had to really steer hard from 5 into corner, 4 into 5.
Yep.
Down out of the labyrinth.
There's that exit of 9, tricky 9, gets it nicely into the Kreisel. 111, fastest speed we've seen yet, and controls the exit. Tiny bit of a flop, but best speed we've seen so far. Almost 9/10 in the bank here.
Yeah. Big run from Kendall, and this might vault her up the order a little.
Over a second lead from really one of the classiest athletes on tour. Great person. Great to see her slide, and she finishes her World Cup season with a 58.51. Well done, Kendall.
Well, that is a big improvement. 59.94 in the first heat, 58.51 in the second, 1.4 seconds and change quicker. And that's the difference between having done one run in the first heat and not having done a run today, is that you've got a better knowledge of what the track is going to be like and what to expect.
You do. Here we see the groove, so she has a little bit of that left-right vibration coming out of the spur. It kicks her, just as it did with Kelly, into that slider's left side. She just pendulum swings her legs to correct it. Now into Kreisel, using that right toe, trying to keep the sled angle correct, and she finishes her run.
Thanks, Lincoln. Thanks, Orby. You're the best.
All right. Lincoln DeWitt, Orby Garrett, 2 legendary names in US sliding. All right, let's see what we can get now from Switzerland's Julia Simpson. Mum was a slider, Dad was a slider, Granddad was a slider. The 2 males in bobsleigh. Her mum, Connie, slid skeleton for Germany around 20 years ago. And Julia Simpson now representing Switzerland. But this is the track that she calls home. Let's see if she can produce a better run than the first heat.
5.91, so very similar to her first heat, getting underway in what is, as you mentioned, sort of her home track. Oh, tricky little curve 2 there, has to wiggle the sled back onto line. Early into 4 here, nice flat first pressure, nice flat second pressure. There we go, that is an expertly done Omega corner.
So 3,800s up on Kendall Wesenberg, but she was 4/10 up from the start, so that gap is coming down a little.
Yeah, this could be made in the bottom of the track. Nice exit out of 9, nice early entry there into Kreisel. Not quite as fast as Kendall, 0.5 kilometer an hour down. Good exit, and yes, better speed though, so a more efficient Kreisel here for Julia, and so she may actually be able to expand her lead if she's clean in the rest of the track.
Not too bad at all. Top speed, 72.3 miles an hour.
Whizzing by us in the commentary booth and across the finish line with a hit, 58.50, just over 0.5 second in the lead here.
So 1.1 seconds quicker than her first heat. And this fresh spritz on a mild day has definitely given these early runners who came late in the first heat a bit of a quicker track to deal with. So that's an added complication because there's less grip than you were anticipating from the first heat.
Exactly. So here we see that top of the track there just acting a little bit odd, going from 2 into 3, but she makes a quick correction. And then here now, bottom of the track, exit of 14. Little bit of a skid. She has to get early over to 15 there, but makes a good correction. That was a solid run, and boom, takes a little love tap at the finish.
Her 20th World Cup race, Yulia Simshyn, and she is our leader with 21 sleds still to go. So does she get top 20 for her 20th? Well, next up is Sarah Roderick, aiming to deny her that. Sarah, the 6th best starter, but had problems coming off Omega, and that just wipes out some of your speed.
It does. So she's looking for an improvement. 5:48. Great start. Fastest start that we've seen so far. She had the 6th fastest start in the first heat. So really great athlete here. A lot of potential, but just has to get those subtleties of this track. Takes a skid on the first pressure of 4 and it corrects it hard. A lot of steering, a lot of work there in 4. It might have hurt her a little bit. It's hard to tell how much speed she scrubbed trying to achieve that line, but at least she was clean. She didn't scorpion out of it.
I'm sure she was hoping for more in the first heat. She was 9th here last year, equaling her World Cup best ever result. 3rd best speed, and now top speed.
Top speed there, so that's a really well-executed Kreisel for Sarah Roderick. Going into 14, also tricky corner, and she takes that hit on the slider's left side. Manages it well, 2nd fastest speed, should be in the green here as she crosses the finish line.
And across the line, 6,200 hundredths up, so 57.95. compared to 59.36, over 4 tenths quicker, and high-fiving all the school kids on the outrun. That's excellent work from Sarah Roderick.
Well done, Sarah. Almost about half a second from the track record, so really cleaned it up there. A little over half a second. That's fantastic.
I was just thinking, you know, if all of our later sliders continue to improve, then that track record is dust.
Here we go, Sarah. She had that problem on the first pressure, but has a great second pressure. Saves herself from flipping. Has a little bit of that skid there, but doesn't flip, doesn't scorpion. Good entry to 5. That helped her cause a lot.
All right. 5 down, 20 to go as we get to Valentina Margaglio, the Italian, a medalist on this track, but she's had a really love-hate relationship with this place. Sometimes it treats her well. She's been a silver medalist, and sometimes it flips her on her back.
Yep, that is the nature of Altenberg. So she took that silver medal 4 seasons ago on the track and trying to find that form again. She dropped down to Europa Cup. Now she's back on the World Cup. She's trying to get those critical points for the Olympic qualification. One of the best athletes in the field. Yes, and an amazing 5:42 start here for Valentina. That is going to help her cause.
That will be about the 3rd or 4th fastest start in the field, and quicker than her 5:50 first heat.
Yeah, just sneaks it through. A little bit of a brush there, a little too early into 5, but not bad. Trying to maintain the speed, maintain the momentum in the sled. Here's 9. 9 can be tricky as well. Comes out, doesn't hit, just a little bit of a drift, but not quite the speed that we've seen from some of the other racers.
No, and that's her dragging her toe. She really scrambled through Omega. A little bit of work going on in Kreisel as well.
Yeah, she loses the lead there, just drops back because she doesn't have the speed. Takes that little slider's left tap, 5th best speed. Oh, can she hang on for 2nd at least? Crossing the finish line, and
6 tenths back to 2nd, so yeah, she's 12 hundredths behind Sarah Roderick, 58.22 run, so again, an improvement. I mean, you know, a full second faster than her first heat. 99 hundredths, all right, you know, call me a liar, but not enough.
No, not enough.
When a second is not enough of an improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, what a weird track this really is sometimes.
I know, and that had just a shame that we have such warmer temperatures this week and the track isn't always able to hold that speed. Here is that 4 to 5 transition. Yo, she just goes one runner right into the air. Saves it though, does not flip, but that is where she lost a lot of that speed. Here is the Kreisel now, using those toes, trying to keep it on line, but unfortunately the sled had lost a lot of its momentum by then.
I got to say, when I think of that 4-5 transition, I always picture Valentina like that. That it's got her so many times. It's probably of all the corners, it is the bogey corner on the planet for her. Next up, in 19th place after the first of the 2 heats, Kelly Curtis. And don't forget, both runs count. It's not just whichever is your quickest. It's the cumulative time for both heats that decide where you finish.
Yes, it is. It's not like track and field jumping where you have a throwaway. It is cumulative. It is combining first and second runs. So Kelly gets us underway, 5:54 for her start here.
Ooh, big skids early on, and what speed you put into the sled is so preciously earned. You don't want to skid it away. Not bad, 4 to 5.
Not bad at all, and she's got a half a second here in the lead currently as she makes her way into the tricky corner 9. This little weird pressure and a half picks her up just a little at the end, works it back over, and gets a good entry here into Kreisel.
Second best speed, but still with the lead over teammate Sarah Roderick. And 6,300, she's starting to build that.
Yes, best speed on the exit so far, so really got a great efficient Kreisel there. 6,600s and best speed at the bottom, 116.5.
Whistling over the brow from 14 to 15. Good run from Kelly Curtis. 7/10 is the lead, 57.89. So that's 1.2 seconds quicker than her previous best.
Yeah, so
is the track speeding up?
Yeah, she definitely has a faster track, that is for sure. But we also saw this last week with Kelly in St. Moritz, is that she gets accustomed to the curve, she relaxes into the sled more, she knows what the ice is like, and she had that phenomenal improvement in St. Moritz last week where she jumped so many spots. Are we going to see that again today in Altenberg because she laid down another great run? Here we've seen a number of these athletes. They've had problems out of the groove, out of that spur there. She uses a right toe, then a left toe, and then tries to get that entry into 1. There's that exit off of 2, and then the big skid, but she straightens it out before 3.
Hey, Jesse, Lele, see you in Italy.
All right, back home in Italy, because that's where she lives. Next up, Julia Erlacher for Austria. Third fastest starter. I like the way this young woman goes about the sport. She is so enthusiastic, and she's got so much speed at the start. You can imagine in another quad, by the time we head to the French Alps for the next Winter Olympics in 2013, she could well be among the outright favorites.
She's already one of the top starters in the field here. She's got great turnover, not the tallest of athletes, but tremendous turnover, 5:47. Another great start here for Julia.
And Julia, relatively inexperienced. It's only her 18th World Cup race. Jane Channel, on the other hand, 85th World Cup race. So she's at a real experience deficit.
Yes, compared to some of the athletes in the field here, she is. And you can see she already lost some of that pace there, had a little bit of a wild 4 to 5. And so she's sitting in the red here, probably going to drop back, takes that sliders right and sliders left hit before Kreisel, and that's going to hurt her.
Yeah, only 5th best speed. Not got a huge amount of experience on this track. Raced here a handful of times. This will be her 5th World Cup, or her 5th race weekend on this track.
Ooh, takes another hit and 2 hits there in the skid, going 14 into 15. A little bit late going there into 16. Crosses the finish line, 58.16, third best for the heat and second overall currently.
And still 5,100s faster than her first run. So you're coming down in 50 seconds, and she's basically 100th per second faster down the run. So it will have felt different, but like every coach will say, give me a starter and I'll turn them into a slider, and that's exactly what they've got in Austria with Julia Erlacher.
Still a little bit of a smile, but she's disappointed she couldn't hold her spot. So there it is, exit of 9, takes a sliders right tap, then a little bit of a skid, and then uses that toe, tries to straighten it, but takes the tap there. 2 hits on the straightaway before Kreisel, and then here's this exit hit, sliders left side, and then the skid over the brow. That's where some of that speed went.
Well, Julia was tied for 17th. Her previous best on this track, her only other World Cup race, she was 25th, just scraped in, and she'll be no worse than 18th or 19th. So it is a positive improvement in 12 months. Next up, Mystique Rowe, tied off the fastest start, 5:39 to 5:42 of Julia Erlacher. They were tied to the 100th at the bottom.
Yes, so breaking the tie here, and already at the start, 5:40. Fantastic start from Mystique. Again, one of the best athletes in the field. skid. It's a bit of a late entry there to 2, has to wiggle it back over to 3, early to 4, critical 4, little wonky on that first pressure, little high and a bit, not the best entry into 5 there.
That is a carbon copy of her first heat, isn't it? Including use of the word wonky again, second time this season. And Mystique was only 300s ahead of Kelly Curtis and tied to the 100 with Julia Erlacher. So these 3 sliders that we've just seen, 300s apart.
Yes, and she doesn't have the speed in the sled there. 7th best speed and falling back. 3rd on the splits right now. Takes that hit out of 14 and the skid as well, just as Julia did before her. 6th best speed. Ooh, not the run that Mystique was looking for.
She might fall behind Sarah Roderick. She does fall behind Sarah Roderick. So 58.67. And again, it is Omega. It is corner 4. If you could just slide down to there and go back and then do it again and do it again and do it again, but you can't. And that is the home track advantage if you're a German slider or you've done a lot of races here. 4 is the key to everything.
And there's that exit of 4, and it just wants to push you way too early to 5, which we see Mystique do here. Gets the Scorpion. Oh, her foot almost comes back and touches the ice behind her. Such flexibility. It's not the fast line, I can tell you that. There's the hit, there's the skid out of 14, and a bit of a rough run for Mystique.
Yep, not going to be her favorite race of the season. Next up is China's Li Yuxi. Now, she does have more of an advantage, 2100s in hand over Kelly Curtis, but again, you can absolutely scrub all of that off between 4 and 5 and a whole lot more. So there are no guarantees on this track. This is a very tough driver's track, highly technical. It's not for the gliders.
It is, as I said in the intro, for my money, it's one of the top 3 most difficult tracks in the world. Also having some problems on the exit there, 5:49 at the start, but having to make some quick corrections there. So solid start, also using that left toe, spotting that entry into 3 now, critical 4.
All right, decent run into corner 4 and a nice 4-5 transition, and that helps to keep the speed alive. So she was 2600 up at the start, came down to 2400s. That should have grown over Kelly Curtis.
Yeah, that was a clean 4.5 and a clean 9 as well. Ooh, only 3rd fastest speed though. Something, we saw this in the first heat, clean lines, but not able to generate quite the speed that we've seen from some other sleds here.
Again, hindsight would be a fine thing, but after the race, I think I'll catch up with the Chinese coach, Dirk Matchens, and say, did you just give them a comfortable setup to get them down in one piece?
Yeah, 1/100th of a second, 58.09. Oh, the smallest measurable margin that we have here in the sport of skeleton just sneaks through into the lead.
Now, as we've seen so many times, Li Yuqi the leader by 100th over Kelly Curtis. If anybody beats Li, then they stay in their position. If they don't, the chances are they're going to drop behind 2 sliders rather than tie with 1 or split them somehow. So, yeah.
Yep, so here we go. This is the start. We've seen a number of these athletes have a couple of issues with the groove. It just wants to, you can see instead of kicking them straight, it kicks them out to the left. So she uses her right toe quite a bit to try and straighten it into corner 1. Now here's the exit out of 14, goes over that brow and then has to use her left toe, try and prevent that skid going into 15. But a big smile.
Well, Li's World Cup season is done, and she leads after the first 10 of our 25 sleds. 15 still to go here in Altenberg. Quick out of the blocks, Hallie Clark. 15th fastest at the start, 15th at the bottom of the track for the 2023 World Champion.
5:61 kicks off her second run here, so 100th of a second slower than her first run. Navigating this slow, mellow top bit, then 3 and now 4, where the action starts. Quick on the steer, quick on the second steer there. Very clean exit, one of the best Omegas that we've seen so far, 100th of a second back. But let's see if she can track down the Chinese slider in front of her, and she's already in the green, exiting 9 here.
Personal best here, 12th place 2 seasons ago, and she's a couple of spots away from that, but with good speed in the Kreisel.
Good speed, and she's back in the lead. Good speed out as well, opening up a lead, just brushes the wall there just a little bit, shouldn't hurt her too much. Then over the brow out of 14, opening up a big lead, best speed 117.4, very good speed here for Hallie Clark. Crossing the finish line, 57.64.
All right, we're 32 hundredths away from the track record, and athletes are still coming down almost a second quicker. Her first run a 58.4, this one a 57.6 rather. So we are still on target to obliterate the track record if the ice holds its speed.
There you can see her muscling the sled, her right shoulder really popping off. That 9 is a tricky corner. She put a lot of muscle into that to try and stay off of those walls. Gets the straight shot there into Kreisel. Now in Kreisel, this 360-degree corner, big second pressure oscillation, uses the right toe, controls it high on the third, but keeps it low, prevents that fourth wave, and gets a clean exit there out, just using her toe to fix it.
I can't imagine what that Kreisel feels like on a skeleton sled. 3 or 4 Gs crushing you into the ice, trying to look for the red flag to drive it off. Insanity. Next up, 4th fastest starter in the field, Jane Channel, the veteran Canadian, the most experienced slider in this field. 85th World Cup start in women's skeleton for Jane.
Jane, another one of those athletes. We both started around the same time, learned on those North American tracks, and she has had a great career. Again, one of the fastest starters in the field. Excellent turnover. Look at that. Runs it deep over the brow here and starting her second heat. Also with a little bit of trouble, but 5:43. Excellent start here for Jane.
Nice and quiet down from 2 to 3.
Good line, got to get early to 4. Big left toe, big second toe, nice and clean. One of the best exits out of 4 that we've seen so far, trying to build on this quarter-second lead.
All right, so she didn't lose ground to her teammate Hallie Clark, the 21-year-old. 2600s up becomes 2800s.
Best speed, 111.1. Can she maintain that speed through the Kreisel? Nice exit, just a tiny flop, 110.5. Gap's coming down just a little bit here, but unless she has a major error, I think she will be the top Canadian in the race.
Nice smooth run over the brow from 14 to 15, only the 5th best speed. She will have the lead at the line by not much. She doesn't.
No, she doesn't. Just falls behind her teammate by 0.03 of a second. Such a narrow margin. She held that lead all the way down. It was only right there in the final few corners where she dropped the lead. Oh, she drops her head as well. She sees the signal from the coach at the bottom. Oh, and a big hug from her teammates.
Well, is that the end of the World Cup trail for Jane Channel?
We see the tears.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that...
Great athlete, classy athlete, one of the nicest people you'll find on tour. And I think that is the final World Cup run that we'll see from Jane Channel. Here she goes into Kreisel, likely her last entry into Kreisel, gets a good entry out of it, and gets that heartfelt hug from her competitors, from her teammate at the bottom of the track.
Well, I'm sure we'll see her again when we get back to Whistler, her home track. She lives in North Vancouver. Next up is Alessandra Fumagalli, top Italian in the race, top Italian in the season. After Alessia Krippel was invalided out with a massive tendon tear just in training in Cortina.
5:56, goes a little bit later into 2, but she manages it well, staying calm here on the sled. Here it is, the critical Omega. Quick onto the steer, quick onto the second steer as well, too. Very clean exit. That was well done by Alessandra here.
Yeah, Fumagalli, the less experienced of the Italians who here, this is only her 28th World Cup race. Valentina Margaglio has done twice as many.
Yeah, just falling behind a little bit. Very high second and third pressure, controls it for that 4th though. Only the 7th best speed so far, so looks like she's gonna fall down the order a little bit. Not a very messy run, little tap there. 2nd best speed, she did clean it up, but I don't think it's going to be enough, Martin.
No, she'll be ahead of Liu Chi at the line, but she'll be behind the 2 Canadians. So Hallie Clark leads by 300ths from Jane Channel as we head towards our top 10.
And all the school children out there trying to get those high fives from the athletes after they cross the finish line. Going uphill, that is how we slow down in the sport of skeleton primarily. There are no brakes on the sled. Gravity does the majority of the work there. And she just wraps up her season with a big wave to the crowd.
Well, still relatively inexperienced, and she will go to Cortina as the top Italian in the standings and for her first Olympic Games. We're just hearing that it looks as though that may be enough for Jane Channel to have secured a spot in the Games as well. There's so many different mathematical permutations going on, but there's no question Alessandra nailed on as the top Italian. So we're heading towards the top 10. 12 to go as we get to the first of the British sliders, Amelia Coltman. And Amelia currently lying in 9th place in the World Cup standings. Bronze medalist in Sigulda a couple of weekends ago.
Yeah, the quick little toe taps there, trying to get that straight line into 1 and 2, getting us underway here for her second and final run of this race and of the World Cup season here. Entering 4, and nice use of the toes, clean into 5. Very well done.
Wow, that was a real German exit there. She had 600s faster at the start as well. And this is looking like a really smooth run for Amelia Coltman.
It is, settling into the sled. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there, trying to spot the entry. Great speed, 1:11.3. Amelia Coltman, phenomenal run here.
All right, so is the track now in the condition that the British team assumed it would be all day, and now their setup is really working? She is flying.
She is. 4th best speed there, 1700s in the bank. She should hang on here for the lead. Let's see, does she? Yes, 700ths of a second, 57.79, pushing out Hallie Clark for the lead, but it did get close there at the bottom.
Yeah, Hallie Clark was quicker, 57.64 to the 57.79 for Amelia Coltman. So Amelia, a mere 4600s quicker than her first run.
There's the load onto the sled, that long, flat start ramp here in Altenberg. Gets out of the groove, and then again, we're seeing almost every athlete there having to make the adjustments immediately. It's not kicking straight today. Then now in the lower labyrinth, that's 11 into 12.
Thanks for watching. Hopefully see you in Cortina.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the maths is, as Matt Antoine, the US coach, said to me a couple of days ago, the maths will do what the maths will do. In the end, there will be an answer. Right now, there are lots of people who aren't sure what's happening. But Corinna Leipold for Germany. First of our German sliders in the field then as we get to 11th place after the first heat. 10th best at the start, 5:52 getaway. She did have a later start draw. She was 20th in the field.
And kicking us off here with a 5:52, again, the exact same start as the first heat. And we will see, can we see some more secret German lines where she really generates speed? That was an excellent top there as she enters this tricky curve 4, stays low, and a fantastic exit into this upper labyrinth.
Yeah, 4.5, it just makes or breaks the entire run, doesn't it? So now she's got speed, she knows she hasn't squirreled it away somewhere.
Yep, that's the exit off of 9, gets it back in early. Best speed, 1:11.5. We are seeing some secret German lines here. Exits cleanly, and again, even better speed, 112 kilometers an hour. Better speed than your entry. That is difficult to do out of that Kreisel.
Excellent work from Corinna Leipold. Second best speed, but with a handy lead at the bottom. Still 3/10 and climbing. Should have a big advantage at the line, and she does.
57.49, so knocking on the door of the track record inside of 2/10, getting close here. So the track is maintaining speed. She pounds her sled in excitement, gives some high fives. She knows that was a good one.
6/10 better than her first heat. She was 8th last year. She leads with 10 to go, and there's no question that she had put down a second heat that really was a nice one.
It was. She can be proud of that. Here is the start once more. Getting onto the sled, tucking in, trying to keep it straight, and now the exit out of 9, that tricky 9. She gets a little bit of a drift to the sliders right, has to bring it back over to the sliders left for that entry to Kreisel, but does so admirably.
Well, might she be a wild card in the Olympic Games? Let's have a look and see. She leads with 10 to go. Amelia Coltman in second. Hallie Clark and Jane Channel all but tied together in 3rd place. I think that Cortina may have the most open women's skeleton field, probably since 2002, when we really didn't quite know how the Olympics was going to go in Salt Lake City, the first ever for skeleton. Up until now, maybe with the slight exception of China, but that was a bit of an anomaly, we've sort of had some red-hot favourites going in. I think we've got lots more red-hot favourites this year who could easily produce an Olympic medal or an Olympic win.
Agreed. I think it's really hard to call here, Martin, because you have some of these firecracker starters, people who can just really lay it down at the start, which puts them in the mix. But at the same time, we're also seeing a lot of medals out of these old school speed merchants who can build the speed and then fight for those podium finishes at the bottom of the track.
And I kind of think, I mean, we saw in Cortina in the World Cup that corners 1, 2, 3, 4 are key. So, same as here, if you get out of Omega into 5, then you're golden. If you don't, forget it.
Correct.
And so it's going to be that knowledge and experience maybe as much as the start that is going to have, that is going to tell, because if you get those first 4 corners wrong even once, then your medal shot might be toast.
It's game over. So it's the start plus those first 4 corners. Yep.
And so you got, you know, Kim Marmans, Kim Boss, Janine Flock, Jacka Pfeiffer. You got Hannah Nizer, the Olympic champion. Maybe Susie Crea, the local girl here. Maybe the Brits, the fast starters. I mean, and then, you know, who knows, Mystique Rowe or somebody could absolutely blitz them and somehow hang on with all that speed. So it's going to be really, really entertaining, and it will be the first of our Olympic sliding disciplines from skeleton and bobsleigh, and we'll have the teams competition as well, of course, another medal opportunity for everybody in the skeleton field. Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch. 7th and final World Cup of the IBSF Women's Skeleton season. 10 to go here in Altenberg in Germany, and Freya Tarbit from Great Britain, one of our faster starters. Only 5.61 in the first heat, but that was enough to bring her down into 10th position with a good first run.
Loads onto the sled, also having to use that right toe, 5.53, so that is almost a 1/10 of a second improvement here for Freya. That should help her out. Getting a little bit wonky there, and then going into curve 4, a little bit of a skid on the first pressure, and then manages the second pressure really well. Comes out cleanly though.
Drives it out really nicely and didn't have to scramble and toe drag, and that is going to help the acceleration. She was down to just 700s over Corinna Leipold.
Yep, I wonder if it was that first pressure where she skidded it a bit, then goes, it's now dead heat. Good speed though, 111.6. Oh, this could be a close race here, Martin.
A whisker quicker than Leipold, and now a whisker behind her, 100th in it. This is for a top 10 finish to round out the season.
Tricky curve 14, stays clean, stays straight, only 3rd best speed though. A little bit late here into the bottom, might fall back behind. Yes, she does by 900ths of a second. 57.67 here for Freya, and yeah, just fell back just a little bit there. Quite a race.
Yeah, very close indeed. Well, she was 900ths ahead, 1100ths ahead of Corinna Leipold from the first heat, and slips back by 900ths. Corinna nearly 2/10 quicker down that second run, and you would expect that from a German slider. Freya with just 2 World Cup races here.
There's the top of the track, 2 into 3. Just getting a little bit of that long line, not the straight line. Seeing all the fans there from 9 into 10. Trying to get that early entry there, just stays off of the wall. And there's her run.
22nd last year, 20th the year before. She will be no worse than 11th. That is a big personal best for Freya Tarbit. She's halved her score from last year. Now, for China, the top slider, Xiao Dan. Let's see what she can produce. 13th at the start, 5.55. Again, I'm thinking not necessarily representative. Dan is normally a bit quicker than that.
Yeah, you don't know quite what's going on, just managing injuries perhaps, or just saving it a little bit as we lead into the Olympics. She kicks us off here, 5th best velocity, and she gets her run underway with that 5.52. 1300s
up over Corinna Leipold. That is the gap that she had from the first heat, and she's giving that away, 4-5.
Yep, that's 1400s there. She was just a little bit wild on that exit and that transition. We'll see if it hurts her as she comes into this long straightaway, 9 into 10.
She's such a classy slider, only 600s up there and third best speed, and the biggest waves we've seen in the Kreisel. Drives it off straight down the middle of the tubes though.
12th best speed though, that's where all the speed went, all the energy went, just through those oscillations, dropping back to third, a 10th of a second back, 8th best speed. Ooh, not the run that Zhao Dan was hoping for in run number 2.
No, but she gets out of Altenberg with another World Cup finish under her belt and no major dramas or injury worries, and that has got to be box-ticked for the Chinese coach Dirk Matchens and for the rest of the team. So 57.85 down compared to 57.97 in the first heat, and that's a sort of normal improvement on a track in the second heat, maybe a 10th of a second or a bit more. Shakes her head, but look, Altenberg in a rearview mirror. Next stop, Cortina and the Olympic Games.
Yes, she solidified her spot as the top Chinese slider here in the field and should prepare herself for Milan-Cortina. Here are those big waves. She almost disappears completely, and then that second pressure, she goes right to the roof there. I think that is the biggest oscillation we've seen for pressure number 2 here. And then out of 14, takes that skid over the brow, going into 15, swings her legs out, tries to clean it up.
All right, yeah, well, all right, she drops a couple, and that means that Corinna Leipold leads with 8 to go. Corinna's personal best on this track is 8th place, so can Nicole Silveira, Brazil, hold her off? Nicole started 5:63 in the first heat, 19th fastest start, 8th at the bottom of the track.
Yeah, that's a testament to her driving ability. 5:61, so very similar range there, a 200th of a second improvement. Now is where she has to build that speed, get those clean lines, and here it is, 4. Can she get through? Nice first pressure, nice second pressure, little sideways, but very clean overall. Well done for Nicole, 300ths ahead. So
you could easily see her in red, gold and black and say, yeah, of course, she's a classic German slider. She's just in the green, blue and gold of Brazil, that's all.
Yep, Ooh, takes a little bit of a tap there and then loses some speed, only the 10th best speed. Some big waves there, and Kreisel a little bit high on the exit on that little false 4th pressure there. 13th best speed. Oh, this might hurt Nicole on her second run. Stay clean, excellent 14. That is a great line out of 14 there, but I don't think she's got it in her. She's gonna fall back a few spots here as she crosses the line with a 58.06.
Yeah, drops behind Zhao Dan of China, so Corinna Leipold will be now no worse than 9th. And Freya Tarbit, or no worse than 8th, her personal best. Freya Tarbit now up to 9th place, no worse, and Zhao Dan makes it a top 10 finish.
Corinna Leipold there, the German girl on one of her home tracks. She is climbing up the order. Great second run for the German racer. Here's Nicole, though, from Brazil. And she comes out of the groove, and again, drifting to the slider's left side. She doesn't make a dramatic correction. She just sort of accepts it there. Now into Kreisel. There's the first wave. There's the second wave, quite high on the second wave. Third wave right there, and then she gets picked up a little bit on the end there. Gets that 4th rise.
All right. Next up from the Czech Republic, just over the border here, is Anna Fernstedt. Her only medal on this track, a bronze medal, 8 years ago, 9 years ago now, when she was still sliding for Germany.
Yep, and Anna Fernstedt, also one of these speed merchants. She knows how to drive a sled, and she knows this track really well. So she gets kicked off, 5:66. Big improvement there, almost a full 10th improvement for Anna, making her way through curve 2. There's one of the best lines from 2 to 3 that we've seen. And then 3 into 4, makes that quick, strong steer, quick second steer there. Clean exit. That is a beautiful exit from Anna. She steered it in the right spot. She could move up the order here.
Flowing down here like a German train slider is expected to. Nice line down to the Kreisel.
Beautiful early entry there to the Kreisel. Top 3 speed still, and good lines there. Clean exit, beautiful exit, still holding on. 111.3, great speed, great line there. Out of this tricky 14 now. Little bit of a correction, but best speed, 118.2. Fantastic by Anna.
But a bit of a skid. She was 2200s over Corinna Leipold in the first heat and loses 1900s of those in the second run. So she has the lead with 6 to go over Corinna Leipold. But Leipold second with 6 to go. And that means that she will be no worse than her personal best of 8th. She just needs one more slider to trip and give her another spot.
Yeah, top 10 finish here for Anna Fernstedt. She should be happy with that. I know she's always fighting for those medals, but that was a great run. Waves to the Czech fans in the crowd who just drove over the border. Here's that long, flat start, knee first load into the sled, and then tucks in. And now that exit out of 9. Not too much of a drift, just has to work it back over to the slider's left side, spotting as early of an entry as you can get into that Kreisel.
Nice work from Anna Fernstedt. I'm not sure what the Czech for Barmy Army is, but that's them. Here we go. 6 to go. It is not Tina Hermann. Those are just her overshoes. This is Olympic champion Hannah Neiser. Now, if it was Tina Hermann, we wouldn't expect her to be going with 6 to go. Hermann, a 6-time winner on this track, but Neiser winless here.
No, and she had a little bit of a trouble on the load there, 571. She loaded off of her inside foot, it looked like, which is not ideal. Here she comes. She's already in the red from that start deficit. Now 4, quick on the steer, little dip, and then clean on the exit, as you would expect a German athlete to do on her home track.
1 medal on this track. That was a bronze last year behind Kim Malmans and her teammate Suzanne Kreyer.
Beautiful curve, 9 though, and then yes, in the lead, 0.03 of a second, best speed, 112 even, controlling the waves, controlling the oscillations, clean exit, gets out on the right side, and yes, best speed again, 112.7.
First to hit 70 miles an hour coming out of the Kreisel. Hannah Neiser is on a flyer.
Yep, fastest speed, 118.5. Uses the toe there, going 16, 17 across the finish line, into the lead, 57.53. Great run by Hannah Neiser.
Okay, 1900ths away from the track record. It might survive. It might survive. But Hannah Neiser, to the cheers of the kids lining the track, comes in with a top 6 finish guaranteed. 5 to go. She is our leader.
Yes, the woman from Bavaria, living in Bavaria now, but this is one of her home tracks here in Saxony. Dead straight, 9 to 10. That might be the nicest 9 to 10 that I've seen all day. And here it is, 11 to 12. That quick transition, stays low, aerodynamic. Good movement there, just correcting it, and she pounds her sled. She is happy with that run.
Well, she's recovering. The last 2 races of this season, so since Christmas, 19th in Winterberg, German track, 21st in St. Moritz. So after 2 disasters, she's finally got her mojo working again. Hannah Neiser leads with 5 to go as we get to our final British slider. Second fastest starter in the first heat, Tabby Stoker, 5:41. There will be no 5:20s this weekend. 5:24 is the long-term track record.
5:52, not bad. A little bit slower though, over a 10th
Yeah,
slower
quite
though.
Surprised at that.
I am as well. Good for the field, but maybe not what Tabby was wanting. Makes her way into 4, big left toe, second big left toe, gets out cleanly. That's a nice exit out of 4. That'll help her.
Only had 500s over Hannah Neiser, the current leader from the first heat. She added 1900s by starting faster.
Takes the long way around, works it out, 4th best speed. Not too far off in speed though. Through the Kreisel, big 3rd pressure, nicely controlled on the 4th though. Out all 4th best speed.
Neiser's going to lead. Tabs was 2 tenths up, now 1 tenth up. Decent run out of 14, but a skid into 15. 3rd best speed might not be enough. We're coming down to the 100th of a second. Is it a dead heat? No, she's behind.
57.66. Oh, just falls behind just by a little bit there. Nothing disastrous, but I think that's a testament to how well Hannah slid this track.
Yeah, and the change in conditions as well play to that home track knowledge. The more you slide on a track, the more different conditions you've seen it in, and you just get that feel and instinctively know what's going on and what to do.
Here's the exit out of 9, so it doesn't get that straight shot that we saw from Hannah. She has that drift to the slider's right, then the drift back to the slider's left, and then uses her feet to correct it. Into the Kreisel here. Big second wave. Not terrible, though, and then big 3rd wave. Controlled it great on the exit, but just small things. Yes, final World Cup done.
And we're barely into the middle of January. 4 to go. Germany leads, and we have 2 German sliders left. Are they going to sweep the podium here? Well, it has been a very long time since they did that. I think 2010 was the last all-German podium on this track.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so Susanne Kraher, our world champion from 2023, 5:52 for her, matching Tabby's start time. So she improves by almost a tenth, whereas Tabby went back by a tenth.
And she's the local girl. This is her home track where she started her career, where she learned about skeleton.
Beautiful curve 4. That was just textbook. Wow, opening up a big lead. 7/10 of a second here now for Kraher.
Silver medalist in the last 3 Women's World Cup races. Gold medalist in the team competition last year with Axel Jung.
Yeah, 1:11.8. Great speed on the exit. Can she beat it? Yes, she does. 1:12.2. Still holding on to about 7/10 of a second. Ooh, can she get up into the medals? This will be the lead for sure. Will it be enough for a medal, though?
Yeah, she was only 700ths off the lead in the first heat, and a 57.32 ties the track record.
Great run. Excellent run from top to bottom here. Great start, great driving. Managed that curve 4, the critical curve 4, with such grace.
She was in all the local papers after yesterday's press conference. The hometown queen leads with 3 to go. It could be that day.
And we see the tears breaking out, as we've seen from so many of these other athletes. Such an emotional moment, the end of the season, right before the Olympic Games, last World Cup. Here's the start, that great improvement, uses that right toe, keeps it straight, and then this was that phenomenal curve 4. Perfectly timed steers, perfect lines. That's what helped her.
All right, Susanne Kraher, 2023 world champion, the leader with 3 to go. The top 4 were covered by 700ths of a second. It is all but a dead heat. Kimberly Boss, Olympic bronze medalist in Beijing. Last year's women's skeleton world champion. Best result here has been 1 bronze medal 3 years ago.
Yes, this is a woman who is no stranger to the podium, kicking her run off 5:41 improvement. That will help her 5th best velocity. And Kimberly trying to hold on to her podium position, maybe even improve. This is going to be it, though. Very clean, almost overdrives corner 4, making her way into the upper labyrinth.
And this result looks like Susanne Kraher may just have locked herself into the final German spot for the Olympics. So lots of emotions. Tabby Stoker, by the way, should take the bronze crystal globe away from Janine Flock, who's not racing. But meanwhile, we're seeing the gap just growing a whisker to a 10th of a second. Kimberly Boss slipping potentially out of the medals.
Yeah, just a little bit offline there through the Kreisel, just a little bit off kilter there, dropping back by 2/10 of a second, going late there into the final corners here, and then crossing the finish line. Oh, drops back behind the local girl, and not quite the finish that she wanted, hoping to get that medal, but not today unless someone behind her really messes up.
2600ths slower than her first heat. The first slider in 23 sleds who has been slower.
Here's the exit out of 9 for Kimberly. Yeah, just drifts to the sliders right, then back over to the left, not quite keeping the runners straight, and that's why she entered with a lot less speed than some of the other athletes. Then out of the Kreisel, that is 11 into 12, staying low, but just a little bit on edge all the way down the run, and there it is, that very late entry at the bottom of the track, going too high on the exit.
No repeat of the medal from 2 seasons ago. Now our World Cup points leader, the Crystal Globe, on its way to Belgium's Kim Marmans, last year's winner on this track. Marmans has had a standout season, victorious in both races in Sigulda in Latvia and last week in Samaritz. Can this be win number 4 of the season? She was only 300ths off the lead, 400ths ahead of current leader Kraher.
5:42, excellent start here from Kim Milan, and the defending winner, gold medalist on this track at the last World Cup race, making her way 3 into 4, quick on the steer, quick on the exit. Yep, that looks clean. That should help her as she has about 1300ths going into this bit of the track.
Second fastest start of this heat, and she will start much faster than the last slider yet to come. So she's in the green over Suzanne Crea by a hair's width and no speed.
No, she's down over half a kilometer an hour there in the speed in comparison. Fourth best speed, 100th behind now. Good lines. I don't know if the track has enough speed in it. Good line out of 14, and third best speed, second position.
Well, in second place at the moment by 100th of a second, Kim Marmons. Oh, says Richard Bromley. She really recovered her composure at the bottom of the track.
Oh, just fell behind there, 57.37. Oh, that is some tight racing, which we expected. Throws her head back.
But she is our World Cup champion with more wins this season than anybody else. 3 wins for Kim Marmons. She takes the Golden Crystal Globe. She's the World Cup champion, the little Belgian. Absolutely outstanding form this season.
She's got great start. She knows how to slide really well. Manage that curve 4, the tricky curve 4. She's had a great season. Looking to cap it off at the Olympic Games.
And like Anna Fernstedt, what nation did she start with? The Germans. Exactly. She knows this track. But who knows this track better than Jacka Pfeiffer? Pfeiffer, her 76th World Cup skeleton start. Just 30 years old still. Jacka 13th here last year, but has taken 2 gold, 2 silver, and a bronze on this track. Her last win just before the Pyeongchang Games, where she became an Olympic silver medalist back in 2018. She could do it again, but she might have to break the track record.
She might have to. Such a tight, 5:62 at the start here. And yes, such a tightly packed field here at the top. And we know she doesn't get off the top of the track as quick as some of the other athletes, but this is where she knows how to drive. Beautiful curve 4 into 5. And 500ths behind. She's got to turn her around at some point.
Well, she was 700ths ahead of Suzanne Crea in the first heat. Suzanne started a 10th quicker, so Jacka started with a deficit, but now she's going to turn it around out of the Kreisel into the lead.
Yes, with the best speed there into Kreisel, best speed out of Kreisel. Yes, 1:13.8. She gained speed and opened up a 1/10 of a second gap. Phenomenal.
She's on track record pace. Jacka and Pfeiffer is racing away to win this by a big margin over Suzanne Crea, who will take her 4th consecutive silver, and it's a new track record for Jacka. She wins the final race of the season. She won the first race of the season, and that is her first race here, her first win here since 2018. 8 long seasons, and Jacka is in the gold with an all-time fastest ever run down this track.
The fastest woman down the Altenberg track gives a hug to her coach. New track record, smashing it, almost getting into that 56-second zone. Great achievement for Jacka. What a beautiful slide she had.
Well, she's only had 1 podium all year. That was gold in Cortina, and now it is gold in Altenberg. So she bookends her season with gold medal runs. And Jacka and all the friends and family who were so vocal at Winterberg 2 weeks ago have travelled down to the southeastern corner of Saxony to watch her win again, and in her traditional manner with flawless driving.
It really was. Putting on a clinic here. Beautiful lines, top to bottom, every entry, every exit. Fastest woman we've ever seen down this track, and takes home the gold medal.
Again, for all the other athletes, there's only one video you want, and that is the one, because that is how it is done. So last year's winner, Kim Marmons, finishes in the bronze medal position and will be the World Cup champion. In the silver for the 4th consecutive year, Suzanne Crea, the hometown queen. And it is again another of her teammates who beats her. For the previous couple of years, it was Tina Hermann, but Jacka Pfeiffer wins again. Her 3rd victory here in Altenberg. And there are the remainder of our 25 finishers. So particular congratulations to Kelly Delker, who made the field and finished in 24th spot after flying in for just 3 training runs on Wednesday. Proper insanity, but there you go. And that is it for the World Cup for the women's skeleton. Some of our athletes will race again in the teams competition this evening, but in the women's competition, on the right there with the yellow jersey, Kim Marmons, your World Cup champion. And with Janine Flock opting to sit out this race, the top 3 in the World Cup standings have changed. Jacka Pfeiffer will still take the silver crystal globe behind Marmons, but it should be Great Britain's Tabby Sturcker taking the bronze for the first time in her career, ahead of Anna Fernstedt, as Janine drops to 5th position, and Suzanne Creher rounds out her season top 6 in the overall World Cup rankings. And that is ahead of Olympic champion Hannah Neisser, last year's champion Kimberly Boss, last year's world champion Kimberly Boss, and Nicole Silveira. And Janine Flock, last year's World Cup champion, ahead of Boss and Neisser. And now, of course, all of their attentions will focus on what happens in February in Cortina. And there is your World Cup leader, your World Cup champion. 3 wins, more than anybody else. Jacka the next closest with 2 as well for Janine Flock. And only once off the podium all season, and that was in Winterberg, a wind and snow-affected 7th place for Kim Marmons. She's our World Cup champion and came close again to taking victory here in Altenberg. But the win goes to Jacqueline Pfeiffer for the final time this season. And that's it for the women's skeleton. The men come up at 1300 CET, midday GMT, 0700 Eastern. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Talk for me,